I just have to say, I am so happy to be back with you this morning. It is official. It's September 4th, which means that all three of my girls are back in school. I'm in a little bit of a unique situation because I have three children and they are each in a different school. That's three different drop offs every morning. Luckily for me, they're very close together. It's manageable. This is not my first year doing things this way. But it's a little more high stakes this year because I have a kindergartner now and a second grader and a preschooler. And the kindergartner and the second grader, they've got to be at school on time, super prepared. It's not the more low stakes environment of preschool. So I've definitely been feeling the pressure all summer, anticipating this drop off. And I did it for the first time today, you guys. I've been practicing. I have simulated this drop off to make sure that I'm going to be able to pull it off, that I'm going to be able to have all of my kids at school on time. Depending on which time I wake up, I have to wake up at 6 a.m. at the latest to make it happen. But I did it. I did it this morning. I have really been thinking of this day as a sort of starting point for me in terms of transitioning really from summer to fall and picking up something that I love to do, which I just can't do in the summer, which is this podcast. As much as I love it, I have recorded episodes this summer. You've heard them. But really, it's not something I can engage with when I have any of my children at home. And in the summer, it's bound to be that one or more are home with me. And I've had an amazing time, but I have been so excited about jumping back on here again with you. So welcome back to the show. If you've never joined me before, my name is Laura Max Rose. I live with my husband and my three daughters in a tiny 5,000 person town called Basalt, Colorado, which is right outside of the ski town many know and love, known as Aspen, Colorado. I work in Aspen and spend most of my time here. And I love sharing little parts of my life with you and interviews with people that I find fascinating. So today is just a solo episode because I've got a lot to catch up. I have a lot to catch you up on. If you've heard any of my recent episodes, I have been all about the It Ends With Us drama and seeing the movie. And I've seen it twice, which I'm shocked. That's the only number. That's all I've seen it. It's just twice. But I have done a couple of podcasts on my friend David Peck's podcast called Inside the Design Studio. So go check those out. I'll put them in the show notes. We're talking about all the Justin Baldoni, Blake Lively drama as of late. Should you be interested in that? That's definitely the place to go for it because I'm not going to be discussing that on this episode. But for today, I wanted to share really an extraordinary experience that I had this summer. I've been so excited to share it with you, and it's really apropos that it's my first episode back with you this fall. About a month ago, maybe 5 weeks ago, I started to really I was walking out my front door. I'm just going to paint this picture so you can kind of see where I was and what I was thinking. I'm walking out my front door, and just to flash back for a second, if you don't know this already, my father passed away just over a year ago on May 11th, 2023. So as many who are familiar with losing a loved one, grief is definitely not linear. And I find that, sometimes I'm not thinking about the fact that he passed away, and sometimes it's right in my face. Anyway, I really view him as a sort of guardian angel. Ever since he died, I feel him always, especially in my house. And I was so curious to know, what he was thinking and what was going on with him after he died that I reached out to a medium, and I think I have shared about this on this podcast, so we could have a little conversation. And we did, and it was sort of confirmed in that conversation, through which I cried the entire time, that my father is very much right by my side all the time, and I do feel him there. Well, about a month ago, maybe 5 weeks ago, I'm leaving my house and probably doing like a camp drop-off or something, and I have this overwhelming feeling that I need to reach out to the medium that I originally spoke to about my father, that she has something to tell me. I cannot describe this feeling. It was like an urgency, that my dad was trying to tell me something. You can choose to believe it or not, but I promise you, this is exactly how I felt. He had something to tell me, and I made a note to myself, okay, I'm going to reach out to her and I'm going to schedule a session with her. Her name is also Laura. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to schedule a session with Laura. I've got to know, like, there's something going on. There's something I need to know that I don't know already, or something that my dad is trying to point out to me. So I make this note to myself to schedule this session. And like I do, oftentimes I completely forget. And 2 hours later, I'm driving home and I have an email from her. I shit you not. I have an email from her and it says, I've been meditating recently and something about you has been coming to me in my meditations. And I would really love, like, I really think that there's some information you need to have that might be really hopeful for you. Like, she made it really positive because obviously if I'd read this, I might have been a little more concerned. And I would love to chat with you if you're available. So I couldn't believe it. I mean, I literally stopped in my tracks. I think I pulled my car over and sent her a message. And I was like, I can't even breathe. This is completely insane. I was about to reach out to you. We haven't spoken in over a year. And I asked her if she could talk that day. She lives in France. So unfortunately, her availability was no longer for the day, but we made an appointment for the next morning. So I completely clear my schedule for the next morning. And I get on the phone with her, and here's the only thing I was wrong about. I thought she was going to tell me something I didn't already know. She was telling me something that I did already know, but I hadn't said out loud to myself. Basically, she told me that my father really wanted me to slow down, that there are things in my life that are really, really important to me, that I deserve to prioritize, and he wants me to prioritize them, but that I'm carrying so much on my plate, or rather, I was carrying so much on my plate and doing so much that it wasn't like humanly possible for me to continue functioning at that speed and at that pace. And I had been feeling that way. I had been feeling really burnt out. I had been feeling like a hamster on a wheel. Honestly, like the pace of summer had really caught up with me, and I felt like I couldn't get out of it. And he was really trying to say to me, like, it's time to slow down, to delegate what's on your plate, and to stop going so fast so that you can do more of what you love because you deserve to do that. And immediately I thought about, honestly, just making more time for myself and resting more and having more joy and more joyful moments, because my joy is always like right there. I feel really grateful to be able to say that, but it's not always something that I make time for and make time to access. And I was like very actively skipping it, like getting up in the morning, checking my phone, racing into getting everybody ready, really racing when I didn't need to be yet. Like, my kids weren't in school yet. Like, the stakes of camp are not that high. Like, I don't need to be going a million miles an hour. And he was really just like showing me like, hey, this is what you're doing, and I see you doing this. And she was kind of describing some of the stuff that I do every day, which is really insane. And telling me that he cares about me and wants me to slow down. So I was really, really emotional during this conversation, and it was a huge stop sign for me. And also a go sign around like, hey, you know what you need to do. You know what you need more of in your life and what you need less of. And like, this is your permission to do it. So right around this time, my dear, dear friend who has been on this podcast, her name is Catalina, and she was on an episode about atomic habits. Definitely check it out. She bought me this journal. I'm going to link to it in the show notes, called the 5-Minute Journal. And it really is a 5-minute journal. It takes 5 minutes a day, about 2.5 in the morning and 2.5 at night. And it's so much more than just a gratitude journal. It's really an incredible way to keep it in the day, as they say, and really like make each day as good as it can be and live life one day at a time. And what I found from writing in this journal was that before I was like not living one day at a time at all, even though I know how important that is. I 100% was not doing that. And what this journal has really helped me do is just have so much more joy each day. And I think as a mom, something that happened to me when I became a mother is there are days where I wake up and I really haven't slept, or I haven't slept well. And I'll wake up and I'll just kind of write the day off before it starts. Like, this is going to be a day that's all about survival mode. I'm just going to get through it. And what will happen is that will happen over and over and over again. And it's true. Some days, like, the expectations should be really low, but the expectations can be low and you can still have things that you're looking forward to every day. You can still have things that you'd like to do that day that would make the day even better. And that is what this journal has done for me. And it has been so life-changing. I cannot encourage a purchase more. Like, if you buy nothing else for the rest of the year, please get this journal. And I take no credit. It's all Catalina who shared it with me. But I am blown away by how much it's changed my life to look at each day as something that I can make the best of, instead of like, okay, today is trash, I'm not going to be able to really do anything, so I'm just going to be a workhorse and work all the way through it and go as fast as I can, and then maybe tomorrow will be a new and better day. Well, it doesn't really work that way. I mean, we really only have today. We only have what's in front of us, and this has just been so life changing. I can't say it enough. So I get this journal, and I also start making some very, very intentional changes, really around how quickly I'm moving and the order, the order with which I handle things during the day. So sometimes, I'll wake up and I have a lot of work that I need to do for my clients, and I'll start with that. And instead of doing that, I'm like, okay, I'm going to take some time for myself, and then I'm going to get to that. And that work is still going to be there. So, really, really simple changes. But I can tell you, I feel vastly different than I felt just a month ago. Vastly different. I can't say how thankful I am for that. So, anyway, I'm sharing this all with my friend Catalina, who I speak to very regularly. And she's like, Laura, I feel like this is what you need to be talking about on your podcast, because I leave her voice notes all the time. That's why I started this podcast. It was supposed to be sort of a collection of voice notes. And she's like, you really like have these experiences like pretty regularly that I'm not sure are necessarily that common, which I do believe that. But I also like see, I have a lot of signs in my life. I believe in signs. I see them. I take them in. I internalize them. I really believe that there's something like, well, if you believe it, if you believe it, it's true. And like the more you believe in them, the more you see them, because I believe that God or the universe, however you choose to view your spirituality, is going to speak to you through those signs more if you actually believe them. So it kind of like feeds into itself. And I cannot tell you how often. So the other day, I always park I park in the same spot every day. And I park behind this car that has 335 in the license plate. So I've brought this up on a previous episode, but 335 is really like my number for my father. It's like my number that my dad is looking after me. And this one day I'm spaced out. I'm not intentionally trying to park somewhere else, but I'm totally in the zone and I go to park somewhere else and that car is there. And I have these things happen to me all the time, and they're so amazing and mind blowing. And I really set the intention to share more about them when I started this podcast. And I think I kind of got more into the interviews because it's such a comfortable format for me. But I'm here to tell you that is my goal, is to share more about that with you. And I decided I would start with that amazing story. And what I learned from that, and I guess what I want to share with all of you, is there are so many things in our life that we don't have control over. There are people in our life that might be in our life that we don't necessarily have a choice whether or not we're going to interact with them. I think maybe other people would imply that we do, but in reality, we don't. We're going to see them every day at our office. They're in our children's lives, whatever it may be. But what I like to tell myself is that I don't have to like the situation, but I do want to like myself in it. So while there are certain relationships that I can't control, the fact that I'm going to see somebody all the time, or I can't control certain elements of my life, what I can control often is how I feel about myself in that situation and the amount of joy that I have in that situation. And what this experience with this medium with my father really taught me was that there's always an opportunity to take a step back and reevaluate, that the work isn't going to go anywhere if you take time for yourself. And I've always known that. And the only thing that's going to change when we stop and recalibrate is that we're going to feel better. And I think at the start of a school year, like this is such a magical time. I've always loved back to school. It's really cooler than like a new year for me, because it's just a fresh start, and there's so much hope and so much excitement. And we get to really like we get to re it's a time for reevaluation. We get to really reprioritize our lives and reprioritize, how do we want to do things differently than we did them last year. And I know for me, it's really all about just making more breathing space, I very, very, very significantly left a lot of after school activities on the cutting room floor this year. So if you need permission to do that, please take mine. I live in a ski town, so my kids are going to ski all winter. And I decided to do something I've never done before, which is to count that as an activity. So instead of saying, oh, my kids are only doing one thing after school if they are only doing gymnastics, that's not true. They have two very significant activities. And one is enough. Like, whatever works for your family is enough. Zero is enough if it means that you are going to be a sane individual and you are going to feel joy and you're going to be able to give that joy to your children. I really think like what happens when we go back to school is we get into this sort of groupthink mentality and everybody's doing like 9,000 activities. So we feel like we need to be doing the same thing. And I know for me, I end up totally miserable. And what happened in the middle of the year last year was that mid-year, I had to take my kids out of activities because I just didn't have the bandwidth for them to participate in all of them. And it kind of sucked. Like it would have been so much better if I had just done that in the beginning of the year. So I was super intentional this summer. I really talked to each of my kids about what is the one activity you really, really, really want to do. I prioritize that activity. My kids are all going to be, two of them are going to be in Hebrew school this year. So that's another activity. And I just feel so much better. Like I've got 2 days of the week where my kids don't have anything after school. And then on the 3 days where they do, you know, their calendars are kind of coordinated so that it's not completely insane for me to get them where they're all going. So, all that being said, I encourage you to take to stop. I'm seeing a stop sign in front of me. To stop, really give yourself permission to do whatever it is you need to do this year. Whether you're sending your kids back to school and you're listening to this because you're a parent, and I used to have a parenting podcast, and that's how you found me, or you don't have children and you're just at the start of a new year, because I really do think the year kind of begins in the fall. It is never too late to put your foot on the brakes and really look at your life and really decide what it is you're going to prioritize, and really, really, really decide to take that time for yourself. So um, I'm so thankful to my dad for reaching out to me and telling me to do that this year. I'm really thankful for my husband. I wish I would honestly like dedicate almost every episode to him. He is so incredibly encouraging of me and cares more about me getting to do this than I do. And takes it so seriously. Like he knows how much I love jumping on here and having this podcast. And he's so protective of my sanity on my behalf, and I could never thank him enough for that. So um, this episode is dedicated to those two men in my life, and thank you guys for joining me. I always love hearing from you, so feel free to send me a message if any thoughts, feelings came up for you during this podcast. You can always reach out to me on Instagram. My handle's at Laura Max Rose. I'll leave anything and everything I discussed in the show notes with you today. And thanks for joining me for another episode of I Just Have to Say with Laura Max. I'll talk to you again next time.